The realities of film production dictate what stories do and do not get told, how they get told, and who they get told to. Scripted TV dramas prefer two-camera shooting so overwhelmingly that it's more or less guaranteed that anything that isn't couture, meaning anything intended to run more than 10 episodes per season, is almost guaranteed to be shot two cameras. That means A cam and B cam rolling simultaneously. Now, why? I've heard a lot of guesses to the answer to that question. Saving time shooting two things at once, that's not actually true because it takes more time to set up a two-camera shot than a single camera shot. To give editors more options, that's not actually true either, because the second you light for two cameras and have to account for two cameras of movement, two cameras worth of blocking, make a scene and the set work for two shots at the same time, you have dramatically limited the number of options that you have available to shoot in the first place, thus limiting the number of editorial options that you are presenting. What's more, the second you have to light a shot for more than one camera, most of the fancy stuff goes straight out the window. Like dramatically lit Dutch tilt. It doesn't work if I was trying to shoot this from more than one angle. Most of the other fancy stuff goes right out the window as well. You can't do a huge dolly move because your track's going to be visible. If you orbit on a Steadicam, you're going to buzz the other camera team. In point of fact, most of the creative decisions go right out the window the second you stick a second camera on set, with very rare exception on projects where you have an effectively unlimited time budget to work around the logistical problems of having two cameras doing something relatively fancy at the same time. This is also why a lot of these shows favor what we call soap opera shooting. Dirty over the shoulder, opposing dirty over the shoulder, medium master. Is it pretty? No. Is it interesting? Probably not. Is it creative? Absolutely not. It's as paint-by-numbers as cinematography gets. But it contains the absolute bare-bones minimum elements for cutting a dialogue scene. And because two-camera shooting eliminates so many possible variables for creative flourish with movement, lighting, etc., it tends to gravitate towards soap opera. So why do studios prefer it? Well, I've already given you a couple of hints. Long-season TV shows rotate directors a lot. Have a showrunner who is theoretically the final word on all creative decisions and is responsible for maintaining an overall aesthetic and narrative arc of the show. But chances are pretty good the executive producer pool has quite a few competent directors in it. They're likely to take on key moments in the arc of a season, but because they have so many other responsibilities, it's not realistic or reasonable to have the executive producers directing every single episode, so shows fly other directors in. Can also be a way to leverage an existing fan base or name recognizability for that director in order to pull in fresh interest on the show. And again, I've already dropped the hints. You got it yet? You have a regularly rotating crop of directors, upwards of 80% of the season, but there is a single person who is supposed to be maintaining the aesthetic and the overall visual look and feel of the show. 10 years on set, I can count on my fingers the number of shows where the showrunner made a regular appearance to the set. Why do networks prefer two-camera style shooting when it has so many limitations? Because of the limitations. Those limitations keep the director on the rails. They limit their creative options, and they leave the majority of the creative decisions in the hands of the editorial team, which, as likely as not, directly under the supervision of the showrunner.